Alright, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to discuss the 2022 potential 2022 Lexus LQ, or otherwise known as the LF1 Limitless concept. So, why are we talking about this? Because many of you, can't get enough of these Lexus flagship videos. So, I decided to, well, since the LS is in dire need of help, I guess, it's not doing too well right now. And many of you actually just said, just get rid of the LS. And I was shocked by that. I mean, many of you guys are Lexus freaks. I mean, I can't believe you guys said to get rid of the LS sedan that started it all. I was quite shocked by that, you guys. So, you guys just said that Lexus should just replace it with the LQ when... Honestly, I don't know why you guys said that the LS should just disappear altogether. I feel like the LQ is supposed to replace the LX. You know what I'm saying? Just, everybody just calm down. I don't think the LS has to go anywhere. You can just replace the LX because the LX sells like, what, 4,000 to 5,000 units a year. So that's a true failure. I mean, also the LS, that only sells about 5,000 to 6,000 units a year as well. So... it's a failure, but I mean, even if they only sell 3 a year, they got to keep the LS. I mean, come on. I mean, the LS 400, that's what started Lexus, you know what I'm saying? So they always have to keep the LS as a flagship vehicle for sure. Now, the LC, they can absolutely they can annihilate that, and nobody cares about that because nobody understands that car. Well, okay, the mainstream media this year, for whatever reason, is really jerking off the LC, and they're really recommending it like crazy, and because of that, the LC is actually starting to sell pretty well now, but... for the most part, though, I mean, these flagship cars, they really mean nothing to a brand. They are not what keeps the company going. They can stop making the LS, the LC, all of it, and it would not matter one bit because the RX, the ES, and the NX, let's be honest, that's what puts money in their pocket and what allows Lexus to exist. I mean, the RX is a great vehicle that sells over 100,000 units a year. ES sells like over 50,000. So does the NX. It's like 55, 60,000 units a year. So they don't need these vehicles, but we all like to talk about it anyway, right? So let's just talk about it. I mean, it's still just a concept. The LQ is still just a fairy tale. You know what I'm saying? It's not even a real car yet, but there is speculation that it could possibly be made for 2022 and that it could be based upon the LS platform. I mean, this vehicle that I'm showing on the screen now, it's the LF1 concept. It's got 22-inch wheels, rear-wheel drive architecture, but let's be honest, if they really did make this LQ, it would just be LS based, the GAL platform used for the LS and the LC, so that's pretty much what this would be based upon. And I do agree the LX should just disappear altogether. I mean, nobody gives a damn about that car. I mean, I even forgot the thing even existed, honestly. But the LS should stay. But this thing, they're talking, it could potentially use the LS's current powertrains, like the twin-turbo V6, putting out 416 horsepower, the hybrid making 354. And they're even talking about a twin-turbo V8 that makes 600 horsepower in an F trim model, basically, and this thing is supposedly going to start at $80,000 and can top out at $100,000. I mean, if they actually made this thing, I feel like it would just be an all-electric vehicle. I feel like maybe that would be the direction they're going because many car manufacturers are trying to go full electric by 2025. But if they really did make a twin-turbo V8, I mean, good for them, but I feel like it would just be weird for them to shove that amazing powertrain into like an SUV. Like, why not just put it into a sedan or like a coupe? But whatever. I mean, SUV is what's selling. They should definitely do something, and they should probably make this and replace it with the LX. That would be a smart choice. And I do believe that Lexus does need a spec sheet queen in their lineup. I do believe that as well because the LC is a failure. I mean, nobody understands that car. For some reason, it got hyped up this year, but let's be honest. I mean, it's not the fastest thing on paper, and Lexus is not doing a good job of demonstrating to people that their cars are about emotion, and nobody understands it. You can't put emotion on a piece of paper, so that's what the LC overall doesn't do too well. I feel like Lexus marketing is a lot like Mazda's marketing. I mean, it just says nothing about their brands, you know what I'm saying? So they do need to capitalize and do something like what BMW is doing. I mean, BMW did a great job with the ultimate driving machine or whatever. That's what BMW is known as, and everybody knows that, even normal people. But normal people know nothing about Lexus, and honestly, Lexus is a very emotion-filled driving experience, but the consumers need to know that, and they need to do something with their marketing. But this LQ, it does look stunning, especially that concept version that I'm showing you on the screen. The interior looks nuts, but again, it's a concept, it's a fairy tale, it's not real, so of course it looks amazing. But, I was doing some digging, and honestly, Making this thing is honestly in Lexus's best interest, actually. Even though twin turbo V8 is not in their vernacular, I mean, they should still make this thing. But like, things like the Audi Q8s and the Porsche Cayennes, they actually sell extremely well. Like the Audi Q8 sold like 15,000 units in 2019. The Porsche Cayennes, dude, they sell like 20,000 units a year. It's pretty crazy. I was shocked at how well these vehicles sell. And like the Mercedes GLS, I mean, that is a grotesquely expensive vehicle, and it sells like 20 to 30,000 units a year. I mean, Lexus could make a lot. I mean, I know that's not like an insane amount of units a year, but considering the cost of those vehicles, that's a lot of units. And it would be in Lexus's best interest to move that many units of a vehicle that costs $80,000 to $100,000. So that would make Lexus a lot of money, I feel like. So it would definitely make sense to axe off the LX and replace it with this LQ. I even did some digging and looked into those insane SUVs like the Bentley Bentayga, the new Lamborghini truck. I mean, they sold like 5,000 Lamborghini Urus SUVs in 2019. I mean, that's pretty good for a $250,000 to $300,000 SUV. And I think there's like 20,000 Bentley Bentaygas in the entire world, something like that. So that's a lot of units for such an expensive vehicle. So I definitely think this is a go for Lexus. They should make it. But those powertrains, I'm kind of not so sure about. I feel like hybrid and full EV is probably what this thing would most likely be, but the looks have to be crazy. It's got to look very similar to that LF1 concept, that's for sure. I mean, this thing has to look nuts for people to buy into it because Lexus still does not have the brand cachet of those European vehicles. And that's why the under $50,000 Lexus cars like the ES, RX, and NX do so well for Lexus. That's a good value, but if they do make a high performance value vehicle like 80 to 100 grand and has like 600 horsepower, whether it is a V8 or a full EV, that's also pretty good value. That could potentially steal sales from Porsche and whatever, because like I mentioned, they need a spec sheet queen and they need like a 0 to 60 in 3 second type vehicle. They genuinely need that to create some hype. But if you were in charge of Lexus, would you just get rid of the LC and the LS and just make this thing? I mean, a lot of you have said just get rid of the LS altogether. It's a complete failure, which I'm still shocked you guys said that, but I don't think they should do that. I feel like the LS and the LQ, they should be made alongside each other. The LC, they could probably just kill that off, honestly, because it's a total failure. Actually, I hope they kill it off because I want my LC to go up in value, but I feel like they can keep all these cars together, honestly. I feel like that would make sense. They just need to get rid of the LX, honestly. That's the only thing that needs to leave from the lineup. But let me know in the comment section what you would do if you were in charge of Lexus, and what kind of a powertrain would you give it? And please do keep in mind the future emissions, the regulations, all that crap that are hindering these car manufacturers, because that's why I'm shocked that there's even a twin-turbo V8. I can't believe they're making that. And again, if they did make that, they should just put that in the LS or the LC, something like that. That would make a lot more sense. But still, I'll take it. If they do make this badass SUV, that'd be pretty cool. So with that, thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.